Anthony and Anthony, what a time to be alive.
I know, right?
You're the head chef and owner of Lola Giuseppe's, correct?
Yeah. My dad technically owns the place, but, we're all owners together, so.
That's cool. Truly a family restaurant.
Yes.
Let's get into it. I want to hear, would you mind to tell me your origin story, like how your family came to own Lola Giuseppe's and what that transition process was like?
Yeah. Well, I had been working in kitchens since I was 21 years old. Started off as a dishwasher making $6 an hour. Worked my way through, worked in many different places, and worked with really talented people who just showed me the ropes. No culinary school. That was something that was funny when I got into it. I had kind of thought, at 21 years old, that ship has sailed. Going to college was, no longer an option, which looking back on it, it absolutely would have been.
Yeah.
All the while I was working, my dad and I always talked about owning a small little Italian restaurant. We always reference The Godfather. We're Godfather nerds. And there's that scene where Michael has to shoot the two guys in the restaurant. And we were always like, yeah, that kind of place. There's that small little, place.
You nailed it.
Yeah. Well, so what happened was, it was my mom actually said, she was like, you guys got to just get moving on this. So she was the one who got online and was looking for space to rent. And she wasn't really finding anything that was like right for us, but she did find this small little Italian restaurant in Gahanna called Lola Giuseppe's. I'd never heard of it. I'd heard of Giuseppe's in Bexley, but I'd never heard of Lola Giuseppe's. And so I remember my dad calling me and saying, hey, we can, do this instead. And I kind of remember not really being on board with it because I thought, we wanted to start our own restaurant with our own menu, our own recipes and all that. And he said, he goes, well, let's just go check the place out. Let's just go have dinner. So we went, we walked in. It was, very small. Didn't feel like you were in a restaurant. It felt like you're in somebody's house,
For
really.
real, yeah.
And the tables were so close that you might as well be sitting at the same table as the people next to you. You might as well make friends with the people there.
It's very New York coded, I feel like.
Yeah. We get a lot of people from New York saying, this is, this place could hold up in New York.
Absolutely.
And so we went in, and food was great. The sauce was better than what I could have came up with. The meatballs were better than I could come up with. So we said, all right, well, let's get into this and make them an offer. And so my parents met with Lola and Giuseppe, and made them an offer. They said, all right, well, we'll get back to you. We'll think about it. And so after a week, they emailed us back and said, I think we're going to just go ahead and decline your offer.
But you made them an offer they couldn't refuse.
Yeah, exactly. So, we thought, all right, well, that was a shot we took, but, it didn't go through. And then about a month later, they hit us back up and said, all right, we'll think about your offer again, but we need your son to come work for us, because we couldn't take over the restaurant until we had built a bathroom in the dining room. Because at the time, the only bathroom was all the way back in the kitchen.
Oh, wow.
And they were allowed to do that, but if the place ever changed owners, then they would have to build a bathroom. So there was going to be a little bit of time there that we had to do that. And so they were struggling because their chef had left. And he had already made plans because they were selling the restaurant, and his plans went through, so he had moved out of state. So I came in and worked, and they had a chef working for them that was just not really, I just don't think he really cared much, didn't really, was kind of just getting through it. And I was noticing some things that needed to be changed, just of how the place ran, how the kitchen ran.
And did you feel comfortable to give tips, or were you like, I'm the new guy, I got to keep my mouth shut?
Well, the working with him didn't really last too long because him and Lola got into it.
Gotcha.
And so I worked maybe about 2 to 3 shifts with him, and then he just walked out.
Wow.
Got upset, walked out, left me. But I remember thinking, like, I took a look around, and I said, I think I can make this better, that it would be if I just really focus on making this food right. That was really my main focus. Of everything else was just trying to get the food as good as I possibly could. And so, over time, I just kind of, changed a lot in how the things were made. And so it was a struggle in the beginning to try to get, all that. There were some rough nights, rough services. But so then I worked for Lola and Joe for about 2 to 3 months. And then we were able to buy the restaurant. We had to close for 5 weeks, build the bathroom, and then reopen.
Was it kind of like a vibe check or like an audition of sorts? Like, say that Lola Giuseppe didn't like you. Do you think it's possible the deal would not have went through?
Possible, yeah. As you know, you met Lola.
Yeah.
She's a character.
She is, totally.
She is. I mean, yeah. So, and Giuseppe was a fun guy too. The first day I walked in to Lola and Giuseppe's, when I met him, he was in the kitchen without a shirt on.
Nice.
He didn't like to wear a lot of clothes.
That's hilarious.
And I thought, it was weird because, he was an 80-year-old man. And, seeing an 80-year-old man with no shirt on, I thought I was walking in on him. Yeah. So I thought, like he's going to, sorry, he's going to run and put a shirt on. No, he just didn't like to wear a shirt.
That's wild as a cook, no less.
Yeah. And there was one time I always thought to myself, like, health inspectors, they get on you if you're not wearing a hat.
Right.
I'm sure they care if you're wearing a shirt in the kitchen. Yeah. And he wasn't there, and the health inspector walked in while I was working, and I was like, oh, yeah, come on in, do your thing, take a look around. I'm here if you have any questions. Got through the inspection fine, everything was good. And the health inspector went out to the dining room to type up his report. And Joe comes in from the back door had just ran some errands. And he comes in, and I just kind of told him, I was like, hey, just let you know, the health inspector's here. And he was like, oh, okay. Had a real thick Italian accent. And he goes out to the dining room, and I hear him talking to him. And then he comes back into the kitchen, no shirt on. Oh, God. He had to have taken his shirt off right there in front of the health inspector and just came walking back into the kitchen.
That's wild.
Yeah. And, the health inspector came and gave me the report and, this. And, he kind of looked at me and I looked at him and I was like, yeah, I know. That's, he wasn't handling food at the time. So it was kind of like,
kind of cool.
We're not going to worry too much about that. But
that's awesome. And so nowadays, do you feel like you've changed the menu a whole lot, or is it just kind of like you put your spin on it, or what's up with the menu these days?
The menu itself hasn't really changed much. We've added some things, but there's certain recipes I didn't touch. The marinara sauce I didn't touch, couldn't have made it better. The meatballs I didn't touch. The bolognese sauce I didn't touch. But there were some things, I guess, operational that needed to be adjusted.
Gotcha.
So that was kind of where I put my touch on the place.
Nice. And I feel like your specials are very seafood heavy. Are you a big seafood fan?
Yeah, I love seafood.
Nice. That's cool.
Yeah, well, the way it was arranged was there was the shrimp and lobster ravioli was on the dish, but then there was always a seafood feature. So, so all the specials, I have to have a seafood feature. Any other special I can make up if I want, if something, hits me or what I want to come up with. But yeah, so, I love just, having that freedom.
Yeah.
Specials are always, so much fun for a chef that,
Do you ever feel like nervous, like, oh, this special might bomb, or you usually feel pretty confident in the ingredients and the prep and stuff?
Well, yeah, there's always, you do a rollout for the staff at the beginning if it's something you've never done before.
Smart.
And, you can kind of decide from there if, all right, there's adjustments that need to be made, because when you make it the first time, you find something about it you should have done differently. Or I've even scrapped specials completely because,
really?
Yeah, I've what you envision in your head and how it's going to go, doesn't always translate to, sometimes it just doesn't come out that way. It's just this unexplainable thing.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, there have been times where we've tried it, and I've just said, you know what, we're not doing that.
Let's go ahead and pass on that bad boy. And so do you make your own pasta in-house?
No, we buy from Pasta di Toni's.
Okay.
So it's made fresh and it's local. It's just down the street. We
Nice.
go and pick it up. They have the equipment. They do a great job.
Because I knew it was homemade. Like it definitely tasted like, I don't know if it was made in-house, but I could tell that it was like a fresh pasta for sure.
Yeah.
Because you can tell the difference.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And it's a preference thing. And, a lot of people, some people would prefer dry pasta because you get that firmness of, you can cook it al dente a little
A little
easier.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite brand just for the folks at home that are cooking at home, like DeCecco or whatever that one is?
DeCecco's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love using DeCecco for things when, if I have a special or something I want to use it for. Yeah, it's really good.
That's a good one. And then are you one of the Italians that you might see the memes if they get triggered if someone like breaks a spaghetti in half? Is that a deal breaker for you?
You don't do that. You don't, no. You don't break pasta before you cook. But, and you always salt the water.
Oh,
I've
yeah.
had people say, why do you do that? You don't need to. No, you definitely need to salt the water.
Olive Garden does not salt their water because he said it makes their pans go bad too fast, and that's why their pasta's trash.
Yeah.
Well, one of the many reasons, I'm sure.
Well, I think the argument that anyone would try to make is that, well, if you're adding sauce to it, then it's going to have the flavor and that it doesn't need it. But as you chew, you break the food down, that pasta is going to become, you're going to taste the bland of the pasta.
Absolutely.
So, yes, you definitely need to salt. And, don't be shy with it either.
Right. Another cool thing I love about Lola and Giuseppe's is that you guys will like shut down and like go on like family vacation. I think that's so sick.
Yeah. We started doing another one in January. So
That's
we do,
so good.
Yeah, we do a summer vacation. We go as a family. We're together a lot.
Nice.
And yeah, so we like doing that. I think it's important to get away. And our schedule being 5 nights a week, you get those 2 days off. Like I think that rest and recovery is very, very important.
Yeah.
Otherwise you're not going to be producing the product as good as you could be if you're just overworked and stressed out.
I think that's a really like beautiful ethos because you guys are so popular that you could be open 7 days a week if you wanted, and you could be jam packed 7 days a week.
Yeah.
But to like say buzz off money, I'm trying to relax and worry about my mental health and like my own life, and because you want to live life, you don't want to just work to live. So
Right.
I love that. That's so cool.
Yeah, we love it too.
And your dad was saying, he was telling us last time we were in that when you guys go on vacation, you'll do like one big family meal for everyone. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I love doing that. That's so much fun. I still cook at home. I'm a nerd when it comes to cooking. Like
Nice.
I'll say I cook at home, and I love when we're on vacation because we'll rent a condo or something. There'll be like limited kitchen equipment. There'll be so as soon as I get to the room, I'm like looking at what we have, what we can use. And
It's like a game show
fun.
almost. 'Cause
Yeah,
you don't have the right ingredients, the right parts,
right.
random oven.
Exactly.
That's cool. That's so fun. And so do you eat out much or you mainly just cook at home?
I try to eat out as much as I can. I don't get out as often as I'd like to, but Columbus has a lot of great restaurants.
We really do.
Yeah.
Do you have a top 3 favorite? I always like to ask chefs and owners top 3 favorite Columbus restaurants.
Well, I'll tell you who's doing really good Italian food is Speck. Have you been there?
I have.
It's excellent.
It's a fancy feast kind of, but it's
cool.
cool.
And the thing I like about it is when you go there, it's Italian cuisine, but it's not done any way that we're doing it at all. It's we're doing the very familiar Italian restaurant experience. We have the checkered tablecloths,
Yeah.
the garlic bread is on the table, we have the wheel, we spin the wheel of cheese, you tell us when, that kind of thing, and that's exactly what we want. That's what we want to be. But they don't do any of that.
Right.
And everything is made from scratch. Everything is made in house. And I had their cacio e pepe with the nudi pasta,
Phenomenal.
and it blew me away. Like I couldn't believe what I was eating. I'd never heard of nudi.
Yeah.
It's like gnocchi, but you replace potato with ricotta cheese. Whoa. So it's a very difficult thing to make, and I've tried to make it, and mine came out okay. It was sellable, and people liked it, but I was just, what they did, and that was something that it really inspired me. I was like, I gotta learn how to do this, and it was tricky. It took a lot of trial and error, but I finally got it to where it was, somewhat for it was good. It just wasn't great. You know?
Gotcha. And is that something you'd want to make great, or you're just like, I'm going to move on and stick with what I'm good at?
Well, I'll always like circle back to something, but
Mm-hmm.
you know, I do like to keep the creativity moving, and you know, so that people are so that the options are different for the
Yeah.
guests that come in.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And then you got two more for me? Maybe you have a pizza place, taco place, something like that? Something outside of your realm?
Sexton's Pizza.
Nice.
Love it.
That's great. That's very good.
Yeah. I live real close to the Gahanna location, so I order from there all the
Nice.
time. It's yeah, I love it.
You do the burger bar too yet?
I haven't been there yet.
It's a great smash burger, dude.
Yeah.
Super good.
Yeah, I love a smash burger. I definitely need to try that one out.
So good. Major feast. And then another thing I was thinking about too, like, because I don't know if you've ever heard of the restaurant called Carmine's in Times Square. It's like a famous Italian restaurant. It's like
think
family
I've heard of
style.
it, yeah.
So we're in the heart of Times Square, and we did everything big, huge family style portions. Like lasagna was for like 8 people, for example. Chicken parm was for like 4 to 6. But people would often come in and complain and be like, "Oh, this is Americanized. This isn't like real Italian food." I'm like, "Well, you're in America, dude. Like, what do you
Right.
expect?" Like, so do you ever get that where people are like super traveled or maybe even from Italy, and they're like, "This isn't how I like it." Have you
Well,
had
yeah,
that?
there is a difference between Italian food and Italian American food.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yes, what we do is Italian American. So if you go to Italy, it's not going to be the same as the way we do things.
Yeah. Because what's like the main difference? Like, isn't it like pasta's kind of like its own course, then you have the meat separate? Like, meatballs would be separate than the pasta, for example?
Yeah, yeah. So the coursing is definitely different, and pasta is like a course. I think it's like a second course, and then you just do like a meat as your main entree.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's very different. Fettuccine Alfredo is not the same in Italy as it is here. You know, they don't add any heavy cream. It's just butter, Parmesan cheese. Yeah.
And aren't you supposed to just like whip it really fast or something to make it creamier or
Yeah.
something? Is that the dish? There's one Italian creamy dish where you're supposed to like whip the shit out of it and get it like a creamy sauce, add a little pasta water to it. Might be thinking of something different.
Yeah, you might. Yeah, I think you might. I know Cacio is like that.
That might be what I'm
Cacio
thinking.
pepe, and yeah.
I make it a lot and I kind of suck at it, but it's still good. Because
Yeah.
what I do is I buy good cheese and good pasta. So I never get that creamy, like Instagrammable creamy sauce for my cacio e pepe, but it always tastes good.
Yeah, I know. I can't get it either. I try.
Really?
I try. Yeah, I did a Cacio before, and it was I did a video of it, and it came out good, but I still was just lacking that. I just haven't perfected it.
Gotcha.
But it's that, you know, when it comes to that sort of thing, like if I felt like I was perfecting everything, then I wouldn't continue to work, you know. So it's all of that is just motivation to just like keep trying, you know. And I love, you know, I love when I go to a restaurant and just get schooled.
Yeah.
Like, you know, that's to me that's a better experience than going somewhere and going, this isn't good, I could do this better. You know,
Yeah.
you might get like a little bit of an ego boost from it,
Yeah.
but what I like is for, you know,
The positive angle.
yeah, I want to eat something that makes me think like, how the hell did they make this? You
Yeah.
know?
Inspirational. I love
Yes.
that. Do you have a favorite representation of food on film?
Yes.
Nice.
Goodfellas.
When he's chopping the garlic?
Slicing the garlic with the razor blade,
Yeah.
which I've never been able to get it to liquefy in oil, as they say in the movie. It says you slice it so thin it liquefies in the pan. I haven't been able to do that. But the other part I liked is in that same scene when they're cooking, they're getting ready to eat, and Henry walks in with all the smuggled goods that he came, and he's got the bread, and Paulie's going, all right, what else? He's got the cheese. He's like, okay, what else? And he pulls out the bottle of wine, and he's like, all right, now we can eat. Yeah. You know, there's just something about that. I love the fact that he was like, we cannot eat without wine. you
Yeah,
know?
it's impossible.
Yeah.
You seem very chill and like very like cool and relaxed. Is this how you are as a chef? Or are you like at Gordon Ramsay, like throwing stuff, like yelling at your staff?
I've gotten better.
Oh,
so
okay, cool.
I've had my moments where I've, you know, thrown things and yelled and gotten angry. Usually I'm just mad at myself. You know, I don't really get on people too often.
Nice.
But, you know, in those moments, you know, you if you ever lose it, you realize you regret it later because of like how you look, you know, and then you're apologizing for it. And also it's never good when the chef is losing it, because then that's when it feels like everything is falling apart. You know, if the chef can't hold it together, then, you know, nobody else feels like they should or
Yeah.
can. So I think what's definitely helped me is I take better care of myself these
Smart.
days. Sleep is very important to me.
Mm-hmm.
Try to stay hydrated as much as possible while I'm at work, and so if you feel better while you're working, and your mood will change.
Mm-hmm.
And I think too, you become more experienced with it. Once you've lived in those high stress moments, you know the end result. You
Yeah.
know that it's always going to end.
Mm-hmm.
It's always going to have a point where it's no longer a problem. So I think experience and just taking a little better care of myself. Not being hungover every day is a good thing too. 'Cause,
Totally.
it used to be I would get through a shift and, I would always reward myself with a beer, a couple beers, at the end of every
Totally.
night. Now I just reward myself at the end of the week.
Smart.
So that's a little better for me. So, waking up and feeling good, and it definitely helps.
Hell yeah, I'm totally into that. And I personally, I'm big. I used to, when I was a server, I would drink way more because it was just kind of, you leave your shift, you have $300 cash, and all your friends are going and stuff. So, but now that I'm a business owner and I don't really go out as much, but I'm a big weed guy. We can cut this if you don't want to talk about weed, but
No, sure.
I just wanted to say, like, especially now this legalized, I feel a little more comfortable talking about it. But like, weed is so cool because I never get a hangover, I never get angry. Like sometimes if I would get super drunk, I might get like sad or emotional or something. But if I get too stoned, I just like want good food.
Yeah,
You know
yeah.
what I mean? So that's helped my mental health a lot. Is going away from alcohol and going more towards weed.
Yeah, yeah. Weed for me is the paranoia. I can't get over it. So yeah, not my favorite. Dabble once in a while.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, I always tell people, and no pressure, I don't care what people do with their lives, but now that it's so modern, you can go in and tell the bud tender, hey, weed makes me paranoid. What's like a chill one?
Yeah.
And like they'll give you like, you can be the most like niche specific things. Like sometimes I have trouble sleeping because I'm too happy and I'm just like so joyful I can't even sleep. They're like, oh, here, try this one. It's like, oh, sometimes I stub my toe and it kind of hurts bad. And they're like, oh, here's this one. And it's like all the different flavors and stuff. I mean, who knows how different it
Yeah,
is. But
it's a lot different than when I was a teenager,
Yeah.
and you're just getting it from some guy.
some guy, yeah.
you-
Some, whatever. But so that's cool. What do you have any challenges of being a chef owner? Like, especially like I know a lot of people have trouble with like staffing and stuff. Have you been able to keep a good staff?
Yeah, yeah.
Nice.
We're very lucky in that sense,
Cool.
and obviously it's all family in the kitchen for the most part. So it's me and my brother is my sous chef. He also handles a lot of the business, accounting, and all that. My mom works the salad station, and we have Myra who does prep with me in the mornings, and she does dishes during service, and she's also, she's just that utility
X-factor.
person who
Yeah.
just is, she can handle everything. She knows. Really, really great. We're very lucky to have her also.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
And then our staff too. Our wait staff is great. They're very
Nice.
loyal, and we've had a lot of them for a lot of years.
That's the best.
Yeah, a few of them have come and go, but everybody always leaves on a good note, and everybody always just moves on to bigger things. For some people, it's a great waiting tables is a great thing to do while you're working on something else. Because the hours are flexible.
Absolutely.
And money can be good.
It definitely can.
Yeah.
Have you ever considered like being the face of Lola Giuseppe's, like kind of like how Jenny Brittenbauer used to do with Jenny's ice cream back in the day? Would you consider doing that like for marketing purposes?
You mean I put my face on it?
Yeah, like make videos of you, like, hey, I'm Anthony, like, here's my special this week. Like, because I know sometimes you make your cooking videos and they're very nice, but I feel like if you could show your personality and stuff, I think people would really be into that.
No, I've never really thought of it like that. I think of myself as the one in the kitchen. I don't make too many trips out to the dining room. I'm usually just busy in the kitchen. I'm every bit as much of a line cook as I am a chef.
Nice.
I like to do the work. I like to actually produce the food myself. And there's never a night where I'm not there. So if the restaurant's open, I'm
You're
in the
there.
kitchen. Yeah.
Do you ever feel like a desire to like step away and have someone else be the line cook and you can just go like be a businessman, or you like love the work?
No, I got to do it.
Nice.
It's really what it's what I am. And in the past when I've worked at other places, I've always been that kind of just workhorse, and that's what I love to do. So for now, as long as I'm still able to do it. I just
Yeah.
turned 41 this month.
Oh,
So
nice. Happy belated.
thank you.
That's cool.
My body holds up. I can still do it. I can still move pretty well. But one day it'll happen. One day I'll have to pass it on to someone else. Hopefully I can just go as long as I can.
Yeah, absolutely.
And somehow I'm not burnt out.
Nice.
Every day I come in, it's like I love to just flip on the lights and say, all right, what are we doing today? And making my own schedule.
That's cool.
And, yeah.
And so are you scheduling the staff as well? Is that your duty too?
The kitchen staff, like I said, everybody kind of just
You all work every day pretty much?
Yeah, we all just work every day.
Nice.
So
That's cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
So that's the other thing I think what you get from us is you get a pretty consistent experience because everybody in the kitchen is there. So it's the same crew.
And what do you think you like about it? Like, do you like the repetitive task of it? Do you like feeding people? Like, is there something specific that you love? Like, have you thought about that?
Yeah, I just love to cook, and you do get into that like repetitive thing where you're just doing the same thing every day, and you start to realize that reps will make you better at something, but it can also make you worse.
Yeah.
So the more you do something, you will find this is, you get better. And then for some reason, this thing that you're doing is not coming out the same as it once did. So you have to like break that. You have to figure out ways around
Not
those
cutting
moments.
corners, being
Yeah,
lazy.
because there's always that like, it's that devil on your shoulder that's just like, you could just do this and who cares,
Right. Totally.
But, you have to care,
Absolutely. And you definitely care. It comes through with your food big time. And I think that's why you guys are so beloved. I mean, you have over 1,000 reviews and you have like great reviews on Google. Like you guys are really beloved. And on the negative side, have you ever had a customer be upset? And if so, like how do you handle that?
Like every place, you're not going to please everyone.
Right. It's impossible.
And, I have a policy with what I do where if you don't like something, you can just say, I don't care for this. Can I get something else? We'll replace it. No questions asked. I don't need to know. I won't get upset, Or if you just don't want it, we'll just comp it.
That's nice.
So either of those things. When it comes to that, we would much rather take care of somebody there on the spot and give us a chance to correct it than, for them to leave unhappy or write a review, and, complain about it, which I know some people, that's just what they want to do.
You just can't win, dude. Like some people, you could literally give them $500 cash, bring out their food instantly, how perfectly they wanted it, 1 star. Like some people, you just literally cannot make them happy.
Right.
So you just got to take that L, I guess.
Yeah, I take all the reviews in the same way, and when it comes to a negative review or if it's a very positive review, I take what I can from it, but I just get back to work.
Nice.
I don't try to dwell on what is done. I just try to go forward.
Nice. That's smart. That's good. And then you want to talk about the bakery. The bakery's that's past couple years. That's fairly new,
Yeah,
right?
It's been open for I think 2 years now, coming up on maybe. Yeah. There was a space open 2 doors down, and we thought, well, why not a bakery? Because we were doing all of our baked goods there, but it was just the desserts. So just the desserts that were on our menu were done there, and so we thought, well, maybe we can have a bakery where we make the desserts for the restaurant, but also cases of things.
Nice.
So. Yeah, and we got a great crew over there. I mean, they're very creative. They work hard, and luckily they do because baking is not my thing.
No, dude, it's a whole other skill set.
It is. I always say like I can fix things while I'm cooking. If something's not right, I can adjust it.
Yeah.
But when something goes into the oven,
That's it.
You're done. You can't fix it. It comes out. It's either right or wrong. So
What's your guys' best dessert over there? What was like the best seller?
Tiramisu is very popular.
Nice. I love a tiramisu.
Yeah, it's very good.
Lady fingers. What is it? Espresso liqueur. Usually they soak it in.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, that's a major feast.
And one of our bakers made these espresso cookies. They're
That's the
so
bomb.
good. Yeah. And our other girl did a what was it? It was a cinnamon bun cheesecake.
Ooh, nice.
That was really good. So,
That's cool.
Yeah, we love that we can just tell them, like, you know, just if you're feeling creative, make it. You know, we'll see if we like it. We'll taste it, and
Yeah.
you know.
Do you prefer a sweeter cookie or like a less sweet? Because I feel like a lot of like Asian cookies, for example, they're not very sweet. They're like subtly sweet.
Yeah.
Do you have a preference on that? Because I personally like sugar loaded. Like I'm a child. Like
Sure.
give me all the sweetness.
Yeah, if I'm eating something sweet, I kind of want it to be sweet.
Just
you
go
know?
for it.
Yeah, chocolate chip is like, to me, like that's my weakness. If you give me a chocolate chip cookie, I'm happy.
Have you had Pizza Nerds cookies yet?
No,
Dude, they're in Gahanna. Phenomenal.
Didn't they just open?
They did.
Yeah.
They're from Newark. I don't know if you knew that, but they're from Newark and they're very popular. I actually would drive from Columbus to Newark. Like that's how good they are. But now they're in Gahanna, and the pizza's phenomenal. It's like a Detroit style pizza, but also they have like a grandma style pizza. They have like 2 thicknesses, but they also have Cookie Nerds. It's like a big, thick Lions Cub size cookie, but it's stuffed.
Yeah.
Fire, dude. Like this was like, honestly, I'll just say it now. This was the best cookie I had in Columbus.
Really?
Was from Cookie
Yeah.
Nerds.
They're
Elite.
Yeah, I know where they're at. I got to check them out.
Totally, dude. Get yourself a pizza, and like it's really like '90s nostalgia in there. They have like, you know, the Ninja Turtles. They have like Terminator, like all like very '90s nostalgia in there.
Yeah,
it's
that's
dope.
neat. Yeah.
Super cool. Do you have any unpopular or polarizing food opinions? We talked about the sweetness of cookies. I always like to ask people, like, you know, like pineapple on pizza, for example, truffle oils, something along those lines.
Yes. Here, my unpopular food opinion. All right, A1 is the best steak sauce. It's the best.
It is.
And I know, you posted
Just
a reel,
recently.
yeah, saying, you know, it's the argument is, well, a good steak does not need A1. That's true. And if I'm at a nice steak restaurant, I won't ask for it. But if it were on the table, I would use it.
Absolutely.
And yeah, so
I'll put some A5 Wagyu on some A1, dude. I don't
sure,
care.
sure. I almost wish I had like a keychain size bottle that I could sneak into those places and just kind of dabble on the
Yeah.
plate.
My thing is when people say like a good steak doesn't need it, it's like that might be technically true. It doesn't need it, but I'm a sauce boss. Let me level it up a notch.
Yeah, for sure.
That's cool.
That's how I am.
And that's a very polarizing opinion because some people think A1, it's like more loathed than like ranch dressing. I feel like people get on their high horse about hating A1, but I think it's good. It's very tasty.
I love it.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just, you know, it's one of those things I can't describe it. It's just
You guys should do a steak special, like a big porterhouse, like with like some sausages, potatoes, peppers, and onions. That would be fire.
yeah, I would love to. We never have. We've never done that. I've done some fresh seafood that I've done without pasta. That's the problem is our guests are very big pasta lovers. So whatever I make, I usually have to incorporate pasta somewhere.
Gotcha.
But I've done one where I've done like, you know, roasted garlic mashed potatoes or a risotto or something.
Ooh, I love risotto.
With like a vegetable. And, you know, they sell pretty well, but people a lot of times are just like, yeah, just give me the
pasta.
Yeah.
What's your number one seller? Is it the lasagna, spaghetti, meatballs? What's your number one?
chicken parm.
Oh,
right?
chicken
Right
parm.
now is very popular.
Cool.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal. That cutlet is always so crispy, dude.
Yeah.
Like even with like the sauce and stuff, you guys keep that crispy cutlet. Do you have any pro tips for the at-home chefs?
Yeah. Japanese panko breadcrumbs.
Oh, nice.
Which some people would say, well, that's not Italian, but it's good. Like,
Right.
you know, like I'm not gonna not do it. Mm-hmm. But
You
yeah,
could throw some Italian seasoning in there probably. Like,
yeah. Well, yeah, we use a seasoned flour, so there's some garlic in there and stuff. So
And are you the kind of person who's like, at least maybe at home, I guess, because you probably at the restaurant you'll be more strict. But like, I'm the kind of guy I throw infinite garlic in there. Like if the recipe says 2 cloves of garlic, I'm like, let's do 4.
yeah,
let's
yeah.
do 5.
I get aggressive with garlic sometimes, and I don't think that's ever been. I don't think anyone's ever complained that the food is too garlicky. But I noticed my teaspoon or tablespoon measurements get just a little heftier each time I use it.
Totally.
But yeah, the thing I'd say with garlic is don't be afraid to put a little color on it too. You know, a lot of people are afraid. They say, you know, you just should sweat the garlic in the pan and then you make sure you add everything because you don't want to burn it. You definitely don't want to burn it, but give it that nice golden brown. And, you know, a lot of my dishes will start with garlic.
Gotcha.
And you just have to have whatever your liquid, your deglazing something, just have that ready so that you can kind of neutralize it when it's time.
Gotcha.
So when it does happen, otherwise you will burn it.
Do you like to add, like if you're at home or something, making a marinara for yourself or a red sauce, do you put sugar in your red sauce? Me neither.
No,
And
never sugar.
a lot of my whole family puts sugar in there. I'm the one who doesn't, but they still like mine when I make it. But literally everyone else in my family, they all put sugar in there.
If you want to sweeten a sauce, use fresh basil.
Okay,
that's
cool.
That's what I would say to everybody, because that'll sweeten it up real quick. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't have that, because you can taste. The sugar just has that like sugary, kind of like you artificially sweetened it kind of flavor.
What about adding extra carrots in your little carrot onion? Because sometimes I like to do, and I don't know if this is like a real recipe, I just kind of do it, but I do like the Holy Trinity, but I do like the shredded, like really fine carrots.
Yeah.
And then I feel like that provides a little sweetness
Yeah,
too.
yeah, carrots are great for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are some, we talked about the broken pasta earlier. Do you have any like pasta sins or like Italian sins? I think that could be fun to talk about.
Well, there's one that I don't know that I agree with, but when you don't put cheese on shellfish dishes. A dish with shellfish should never get cheese on top of it, kind of thing. And I didn't know that, but it's one of those.
Is that one of the rules? Because I feel like shrimp parm is pretty popular.
Yeah, well, I think it might be if the shell is on the plate.
Gotcha.
So if it's a clam or a mussel,
Gotcha.
I think that might be the rule, but I didn't know that. So I follow that rule, but sometimes I'm like, yeah, a little cheese wouldn't be horrible in this.
I mean,
but
cheese makes everything better.
So there are certain things, but that I do follow based off of those type of opinions, but at the same time it's cooking. Like, the rules were never they're meant to be broken.
Yeah.
So, if it's good, how can it be wrong?
Exactly. And I went viral with an Italian post. I think it was carbonara or something. It was like 2 years ago. But a lot of Italians like from Italy were commenting on it, and they were like, "My Nona's spinning in her grave," and all this stuff. And like they were just like so dramatic, which I think is funny. But my thing is like, even if you live in Italy, different Nonas are going to make it different.
Right.
So like my grandma might make it different than your grandma. So it's like, quit gatekeeping. Like, just. I hate when people police my palate. Like, if it's good, it's good.
Yeah. No, I put garlic in a carbonara.
Oh,
and
my gosh.
You're not supposed to. But I'm like, I don't know how you can do this without,
Do you use the proper meat? Because I feel like most Americans, we don't use the official meat.
Guanciale.
Yeah.
Guanciale is pork cheek.
Gotcha.
So, yeah, I do use that. Or I'll use
Nice.
pancetta. Pancetta is your other option. It's fine. It's perfectly fine. You can use that. But I've been using guanciale in some things. I just did an amatriciana dish, which is pork cheek, tomatoes, a little bit of I used some Calabrian hot chili peppers.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's really good, really spicy.
I
and
love
then you
spice.
just a little bit of Romano cheese. And grate a little extra on top. Oh, it's one of my favorites.
Hell yeah, dude.
I love that dish.
That's super good. Do you have a best meal you've ever eaten? And it could be from you cooked it or maybe not.
That
That's a big question. So here, let me help give you some ideas. Like it could be something that was very expensive, maybe something very fancy, maybe like funny, like it was, or even like a love interest, like you had a very great romantic date. Like, because I know it's kind of a vague general question of like best meal ever. It's challenging.
That meal I had at Speck, I think might
Nice.
be. I mean, it was one that I feel like I'm here. I am promoting in another Italian restaurant, but
We can all win.
I'm a fan, and I'm not affiliated with them. I don't know a single person that works in that kitchen, but I'm just a fan. So
That's cool, dude. And I respect that. And I firmly believe that everybody can win, especially in a big city like Columbus. Like if we were in the middle of nowhere and there's like enough room for one Italian restaurant, maybe I'd be like, cut that.
Right.
But
No.
like we can all win, dude.
Yeah.
There's plenty of people here.
That's what I always say. I was like, there were far more people in Columbus than there are seats in the restaurants. So if your business isn't doing well, it's not because somebody is taking your business, you know? And, like I said, I love to think of Columbus as a community of restaurants that are, and will always be, never be that on the map that like New York or Chicago is, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But I like to think of Columbus as that spot that you're here and the food is like, wow, surprisingly good, you know.
It's amazing, and I always go to bat for Columbus because I lived in New York for 6 years when I was pursuing stand up, which I no longer do stand up. But I lived in New York, and people would always hate on Columbus. Oh, it's a flyover state, you know, this, that, and the
Yeah.
other. We have a bunch of cows. I'm like, dude, we have artisan chefs like crushing it. Like we have people really doing amazing things here.
Yeah, we have cows too. What's
We
wrong
do
with
have cows.
that?
Yeah, nothing's wrong with cows. You got to eat the cows.
Yeah.
So, Anthony, I feel really good about this podcast. I feel like we nailed it. I asked you everything I wanted to, but if there's anything that didn't come up organically, now's your time to shine. I would love for you to talk about anything, and if not, that's fine too.
Well, I mean, you know, just I guess I'd say well, let's thank all the people who come to the restaurant. I could not be more grateful. The fact that, you know, where we started was a little bit rough, getting that, you know, business back up from where it was, and, you know, people just keep coming, and I'm, you know, I'm so grateful to that. I don't take it for granted at all. And, you know, I used to think, like, if we could just get our numbers up to a certain point, then I could just, you know, all right, let's relax. We did it. You know, we accomplished. But that feeling just never, that drive never goes away.
It doesn't. And I always tell people with like social media, like when I first started Upper Feast, I was like, once I get 10K, I'm going to be so happy. Then I was like, when I get 50K, then I'll be happy. Then I get 100K. And then once I hit 100K, I was like, okay, that's fine, I guess. But like you always want more and more and more.
Yeah. No, and I love your page too, man, by the way.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I love it's a very authentic look at the you know, the restaurants and stuff. So
Thank you.
It comes from a place that's genuine, and that's what I like about it too. And you're
Thank
honest
you.
too. You can be honest. And, you know, but you have to be.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is,
Thank
you
you
know,
for saying that, because some people give me grief about it. They're like, you have this big account, like, and you're shitting on these restaurants. And I'm like, I'm just being honest. It's not like I'm like making personal attacks or I'm lying. I'm just saying like this is my experience.
Sure. And, you know, you have to do that because you owe that to your followers. Your followers have to know that you're being genuine and that you're not just, you know, trying to, you know, light up a place and make them great. You know, it's your true experience. So
Dang. Well, thank you so much, Anthony. Great podcast. And
Yeah.
hope you have a great rest of your day. Great chat with you today.
all right, thanks, man.
Thank you. Hey, so that was the podcast. Thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate it. And if you noticed that this episode sounded awesome, we recorded at Brick House Blue in Bridge Park, Dublin. It's phenomenal space. It's acoustically optimized for the podcast. And the crazy thing is, it's only $30 an hour. $30 an hour. Unbeatable. It's such a deal. Beyond their podcast stuff, they also have open co-working, impactful meetings, virtual mail services, and much, much more. And I love that they're in Bridge Park, Dublin. I always hit up the North Market after a podcast. Love a good lunch. Nothing wrong with that. It's a beautiful space. It's conveniently located. Their website is super easy to use. I cannot recommend them enough. So thank you so much for listening. And yeah, that's the pod. Thanks.